I hate that when I spend a couple minutes talking to everybody and then find out I forgot to push the go live button. Uh, anyway, we're going to start out slow. Hey, Rich, nice of you to be first one in here. Hopefully, we'll get others to join. This was kind of a last minute decision on my part to jump in here. And Paulette and I are doing okay. I got a long road ahead of me, but not doing too bad at the moment. And we'll see where this all leads us to tonight. So I'm still trying to get things straightened out here. It's been a while. Hey, Kelly, Maurice, welcome. Thank you for stopping in tonight. But I hope to be able to answer any questions for people. Doug, welcome. Thank you for coming in. If I miss anybody, just give me a shout out again. My eyes aren't quite functioning the way they should, and I have a real hard time reading chat, so I might miss somebody from time to time, but I welcome everybody that comes in and hangs out for a while. Like I said, if you'd like to come up and share, and I want people to go in and hook up with one another. You got products, got things you want to promote, feel free to jump in there and do it. We're not just here for Gaurddog, we're here for everybody, our whole family, and we're going to continue on. We do have a good bunch of people. We have a lot of experiments that have gone wrong. We can maybe help people out. And I find the Gaurddog some days to be real challenging for me. Believe it or not. Hey, Ernest, how are you tonight? Good to see you come in and join the group. But hey, Billy, welcome. Thank you for coming in tonight. If anybody wants to come up, let me know. I'll drop the link and you can come up and talk whatever you want. Hey, Adam. Thanks for coming in tonight. I sometimes have to do a double take on the chat, but we'll keep her going. How many people are getting ready or thinking about going to CatCon? I'd love to go, but I'm never know what my health is going to be like between now and then, but I'm hoping for the better. So every year I kind of plan on it, and we'll see how things do. As you can notice, my rod racks behind me are empty. I got to start getting everything out of the boat and getting them all ready for the winter. And I like to work them over throughout the winter and get caught up so they're ready to go in the spring. Yeah, Ernest, you said you were going to go out this evening. I wish you luck. I wish I could go out, but right now I'm better off staying home and recuperating. Try and put on 25, 30 pounds and see how that goes. Fish and Fever, welcome. Thank you for coming in tonight. I'm pretty sure you all probably hooked up together, but if not, jump in there and do that. I might be a little slow, but well, I was trying to do something, but I can't figure it out right now. But we'll try and get more of you as moderators. I know it makes it a lot easier to hook up with somebody if you're a moderator. It's just bang bang and you can do it. But yeah, hook up, share it out, share us out. Uh, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Same way as we would do with you. I was catching up on some of the guard dog things today, a little bit before this, and I think we've been missing people that have been coming in and subscribing. That we haven't been going back and subscribing as guard dog back to them. So I'll try and keep a better eye on that. I have no words of wisdom, Fishing Fever, but you can come up and give some words of uh, you can give some words of wisdom to us. I claim I know nothing. But I see Abbott's going to be coming on a little later tonight, so we are not under any time restraints at all. We can just shoot the breeze. So, Fever, you want to come up and give us some words of wisdom? If you want wisdom, you have to go to people like Adam and Ernest and people like that got the real wisdom. I could probably do a seminar on how not to catch fish. Seems like the older I get, the harder it gets to do it. I used to always catch fish. Now I think I'm a little bit slower, not quite as intense. But I did notice one thing with my eyes starting to fail me more. Yeah, that's all right, Fisher. We could use a little chaos, but I can't see those real little bites and nibbles and stuff anymore. And thanks to the guard dog, that has kept me in the running. Otherwise, I'd probably be missing most of my bites, which I think is over the last few years. I think has been a big problem of mine until I started using the guard dogs. So I have a lot of good to say about them. Like I said, sometimes they can be trying. It's windy, or the dogs running through the lines, or just one of those days when nothing goes right. But I can honestly say I'm the only one that successfully slung a guard dog out in the middle of the river. It was kind of chilly, my hands were cold, and I was pulling it down to hook it up, and I had it out over a pier. And I just about got it hooked up, and it slipped out of my hand, and it flung that guard dog way out in the middle of the river. And it was like, okay, goodbye. I kept hoping I'd hook up on a string or something before I got done that day, but no such luck. Kurt was pretty strong. But I still get a kick out of hearing that clank when it drops off and hits anything, really. And then Last couple times been out fishing, I've been out in the boat, and they really help me out on the boat a lot. I have to twist my neck around. All right, Kelly. And when I do that, by the end of the day, I get a pretty stiff neck because one pole always seems to be behind me. So I started putting my guard dogs on those poles, and it's really helped me out a lot from having to twist around and so far the dog on the boat has been real good. She hasn't got in and triggered them, but I'm still moving my holders around, and I screwed out a little D rings to tie the dogs to, and like my 10-foot poles, I had to move the holders up a little bit further on the boat. Most people could stand in back and reach up and hook them on there, but I'm kind of unstable for doing that. But hopefully next summer I'll be able to do it. But we get a lot of chopping water, and I get a little gun shy when I'm standing up on the back of that boat and another boat comes by and wakes me, or even a boat you can't see, all of a sudden the wake comes by and rocks the boat. But they worked real good on my pontoon. They were so easy to set up on there and to tend to. But I never got a chance to go out and do any salmon fishing and try them for salmon. But so far, I got my trailer winterized, the boat winterized. It's been freezing a lot of the nights. We've been struggling to get up to 60 degrees during the day. So unless we get a good Indian summer, we're kind of at a standstill until the ice forms. And that probably won't be until around Christmas time. The infamous weathermen say we're going to have less snow and warmer temperatures than usual, but that means we're only going to stay at 20 below for maybe 2 weeks instead of 3. But we'll get some cold weather before Christmas, and usually by Christmas we got 6, 8 inches of ice, and people start rolling out on the ice and looking for that favorite walleye spot. But it's a lot of work, not like a boat or fish from shore where you pack up, move to another spot. You do, and you got to re-drill all your holes, and then you got to kind of get an idea how deep it is below you. I use my maps in my truck, so when I'm driving, it's like you being on the boat. I can my contour maps, but they're not always the most accurate, and so sometimes you have to drill probably 6, 8, 10 holes to get your lines where you want to be. All right, Fever. Well, you have a good evening. Welcome back, Rich. And we'll just keep chunking along tonight. Does anybody up to coming up and telling us how they're fishing? Yeah, I like yours too. We're like brothers. We got the same shirts. Yeah, I got a big old heavy sweatshirt on underneath this. I got a heater on me and trying to stay warm for the night. But yeah, it keeps me warm, but it also in the summer it keeps me really cool. I've been watching some of your fishing. It's always fun to watch, and I wish I had a great big freezer for you to we could stock it up, and boy, we could make some stuff later on. Could smoke some salmon, could make some can some salmon, make some salmon cakes, make some salmon pate. Boy, I'd be in my glory. I'd have all kinds of things I could cook. All right, Rich, I'll hold you to it. But everybody complains about the bugs in the summer, but it seems like there's more bugs going around now than there has been all summer. Everybody seems to be getting something of some kind and not feeling real well. So Ernie or Ernest, you're gonna come up when you're out fishing? You're more than welcome to come up. And if you all want to go in and drop some links, I forgot how to make you all modifiers or moderators on this. I thought I just clicked on YouTube. I could do it, but evidently I don't have the something right to do that. But yeah, feel free to drop people's links. Hey, Randy.
What's going
There
on
he
now?
is. That's my boss now. I got to get my act together.
Oh, yeah, right.
This week I'll be putting the Argon Goody in some tough fishing spots to see what it's made of. Well, good, Kelly. You can learn along with the rest of us and share your knowledge. And it seems like about the time I learn it and I get ready to put it out, somebody else beats me to it, and it's like, huh, if I just would have waited longer, I would have had it easier.
What did I miss? Sorry I'm late.
Nothing that I know of.
Well, let's see what we've got going on in chat here.
Well, we got Kelly, we got Rich, Fishing Fever had to go. Ernest was in here. Adam was in here.
Nice.
So we've been chunking along slowly.
Slowly but surely. Let me fix this shade over here that's giving me a tan that I don't need. Give me just a sec here.
Yeah, I hear you, Rich. It's just fun to get out. I keep thinking about going out, and I feel fairly good. Hey, Wabash, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. But I keep thinking, well, if I go out, then I might have a setback, and I want to get a little bit further ahead of my game before I try it. Hey, there's Ernest. He must be all ready to go. Hey, Ernest.
What's up, buddy? Y'all doing all right?
I'm doing just all right.
Good. I'm glad you're doing better. You in my prayers, buddy.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
How you doing, Randy?
Good, Ernest. How are you, brother?
Good. And getting ready to go fishing. See if I can catch me another big old flathead. I caught a 25-7 last night.
Nice.
About tore Sir Thomas all to pieces. No. Sir Thomas can handle it, boy.
Yeah, I definitely need to get me some flathead action someday.
I stood out there yesterday about 3 hours and caught a bunch of brim. My buddy come
Jeez.
down. He was wanting to fish with me, and I said, "Come on down here." So we sat down a little while, and I caught 3 or 4 good sized channel cats, and then he caught a channel cat about 3 or 4 pounds, and we were sitting there talking. Sir Thomas went screaming off, and I said, "There he is." I said, "I'm with what I've been down here waiting on all day."
Can you use that bream for bait? Is it good catfish bait?
Brim?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's what I use for flatheads.
nice.
Sometimes I'll use them live. Sometimes I'll cut them up, and
Do one and one. That's what I like to do. One cut up bait and one live.
yeah, that's where you go. I've been seeing you catching some good ones.
Yeah, I was pretty busy this weekend, help out with a kids tournament, so I didn't get a real chance to fish. But I'm gonna get back on them when I get a chance.
Been seeing all y'all catching them carp and stuff. I've been wanting to catch some carp. I haven't tried really because they ain't actually running up here right now. They don't run till like spring and right before summertime right up here where I can catch them good.
Hmm.
Monty want me to catch them, and I started to one day, but they ain't running that good here. I can catch them with a net, but I can't catch them on a rod right now. If I catch them pretty good size, I use them for bait.
Right? You got any like little metro lakes around your area? Cause at city parks, I bet you they got carp.
They probably do something like that, or some of these. Yeah, well, I better not mention pay carp, but yeah, they got carps around here in different places. But where I
Yeah,
usually fish at, I usually catch most of mine like right before it starts warming up, like in the spring, and right before it gets too hot. They'll run on the bank. Then you ain't got to throw 5 or 6 feet out on the bank, and you can catch them.
right.
Boy,
Matter of
Nate,
fact, I throw them up. I throw upstream or downstream. I never throw straight out for
Hmm.
Nate, people around here would be real happy with those chubs.
them.
Hard to come by.
Yeah, we're trying to get into some sucker fish now, cause that's a really good bait for ice fishing season.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder every year. But I've been running down some leads where I can maybe do a little better next year. For we can't use suckers here if they're alive, so I have to get them and then freeze them.
Yeah, that's what we do usually. Just use them as cut bait. A lot of times for ice fishing for the trout, all you need is a little piece of meat, but a little flap of skin. You just jig that up and down, and it just waves. And them trout will just attack that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically just kind of flay them.
Yeah, with a little chunk of meat, so you got a little oil going out, little
Sometimes
something,
I'll
something.
take a gizzard shad and cut him and like fillet him up that way,
Right?
lay him on the backside, and then cut the middle of him out.
Hmm.
And he'll have 2 flaps on each side
Right?
of
And
him.
just be flapping around.
Yeah, I do them like that sometimes. You want me to tell you who showed me how to do that?
Hmm.
Jerry Parker. He's the
Catfish
catfish.
king.
He's the
Yeah.
catfish whisperer.
Hmm. How do you usually like to hook it up, Ernest? Through the dorsal fin or the mouth or the tail? What do you usually do?
Uh, Sometimes I'll hook them to the top of the head. I like if I got just the big head part of it. I try to hook them through the nose, through the nasal fin,
Right?
right through their nostrils. That's about the toughest spot.
Yeah, you
I don't
got
know
that
why.
right.
I don't know why flatheads like to go from that way. They some people pin them from the back, and I don't think flatheads will try to bite them that way. They like to go up on them like that and just lay them in their mouth.
Hmm.
I hooked up another one last night after I hooked that one. He got off, but he turned my bait into my hook. That's why he got off. I had another one. He was pretty big too. I could feel him. And then he just spit my hook out. When I got my hook, my bait was turned around in my hook, so it didn't hook him. It hooked my bait back.
Right. What size
So
hooks do you use?
they starting to bite. I use it from 8 to 10s.
8 to 10s.
Yeah,
Nice.
they starting to bite back down here because the water's starting to cool down and it's staying about 40 degrees at night, and they starting to kind of fatten up again now. They're gonna start biting again.
Yeah, this
I've been
weather's
catching.
crazy.
I haven't been down there this year and not caught one, but it's getting slower than it was during the spring. That springtime, I was catching 20 and 30 a night, but that
Dang.
slowed down real fast.
Jeez. Yeah, we got like 70s and maybe even getting close to 80 again next week, which is crazy because
Mm.
we just got through some frozen spell, like
Yeah.
below freezing. So I don't know what Colorado can't make up its mind right now.
Mm. I hate to cut y'all off, man. I got to get out of here. My ride's here, and I'm going to go back down there and see if I can hang me another one.
All right, brother. Good to see you.
All right, Don. You take care of yourself, buddy. I'm praying for you.
All right, Ernest.
You starting to look a lot better. I tell you that. You starting to look like a young man again.
Thank you.
All right. God bless y'all.
Tight
See you, buddy.
lines, Ernest. Bye.
Yes, sir.
So, Nate, where's the fast water area? What do you consider fast water area? Hey, Evan. I don't know how you can be listening. We've been using sign language, especially
Holding
when we're talking about you. Ah,
So I want to try to catch some cats through the ice. I've never caught well, I think I've caught one cat through the ice, but it was by accident.
people up here have been catching more and more through the ice every year. It used to never hear of it. Now you're starting to hear of it quite often. They're catching channel cats through the ice.
I'm
So
wondering if
I've
they're
been
just
doing a little studying and research on
what
trying to
they're
find
using.
a place that I may be able to go and kind of target the catfish. But if you get the catfish, you probably get into the burbot too, because they're pretty much the same, kind of do the same thing. They're both
Right.
predator fish. They hang close to the bottom, like the sandy, gravelly areas. But the burbot are probably a little more aggressive. But yeah, I never heard of people catching catfish and stuff through the ice until about 5 years ago.
I'm wondering if they're using the same kind of rig.
But I think that they, hey, we'll get you up there a whole bunch of times.
I don't know what's going on here.
I
I was trying to
thought
get
maybe
to.
you wanted to talk to
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, I am a Gemini, so
But yeah, it's always exciting just to sit and think about going fishing. What am I going to try next? What should I try different? I get bored doing the same thing all the
right.
time. I usually have one pole in, one pole experimenting with something a little different, and I've ran onto some things like that that were turned out to be pretty successful for me. But
Hmm. I usually just run both guard dogs, but for some of the fish, I'll just set on a bait runner so they don't feel anything and let it run with it a little bit. Let them swallow it like pike.
yeah,
But usually I'm just running both guard dogs because that usually does the trick.
yeah, I've been kind of playing with that on setting them up because northern are that way, the pike, and setting it up to where they can run and pull free spool out. But usually when they turn around and swallow it head first, they hit it hard. So I'm thinking if I set the guard dog up pretty heavy, that they'll be able to pull the free spool out. But when they turn around and hit it hard, then the dog will go off. But I still have the spool on free spool at that time, so it's kind of,
Right?
and
I
I'd
guess you can
like,
get away with that if there's no current or no wind.
yeah, but it's, those pike, if you can set the hook at the right time, you'll catch them in the corner of the mouth. If they get it
Sure.
down their gullet, unless you got a steel leader, they're, if they fight very much, they'll cut your
Chomp
line
off. Yep, yep.
eventually, yeah. But
I
if
got
you keep,
lucky on one pike. I was only running like a 12-pound fluorocarbon, no leader, and I still managed to bring them in. So talk about,
yeah,
I always say I'd rather be lucky than good. So
yeah, that's what's, pulling crankbaits and stuff are nice because they usually don't get the line into their mouth. Because you use cut bait and then they get it down in their gullet when they swallow it. But
right.
hey, JBT, welcome.
What's going on, Gerald? Landed a 8.5-pound channel cat and a 15-pounder. Bam. Pictures are never happen, brother. You know the rules.
Ah, cut the man no slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. In the past, I've never been one to take pictures of my fish. It's kind of. I knew I caught them and stuff. It just wasn't a thing to do. Of course, that was back when you had to take the film in and get it developed and pay for it, and then
Drop
half of them wouldn't come out.
drop them off
So
at that little kiosk in the parking lot.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about, Don. We're both old enough to know those little kiosks. Everyone else in the chat's like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah. The drugstore. Always took them to the drugstore. I still have some that haven't been developed yet. I keep thinking I should get them developed because once they're exposed, they might
Yeah.
fade, but I could probably still get some pictures off them.
I guess it depends on where where you're storing it.
Hey, Gene, good evening. How are you today, young man?
Jump on in,
Yeah,
Gene. You got the link.
I remember back in the day, I don't know what kind of pole, cheap one, but I had a Zepco 202.
Nice.
And I took the line off and we fished mostly for pike then, and we didn't have monofilament very often, so we just used cloth line. And I put some like 40-pound cloth line on there.
Jeez.
But the problem was I only had about 20 feet of line on that spool. So I'd cast it out and I'd hit the end of the line. And when I got a bite, I didn't have anything to play with.
It was
And
like a cane pole at that point. You just kind of
yeah,
back and forth.
a glorified cane pole.
That's funny.
But back then, every hook was precious, every weight was precious. You hate to throw it out there and lose it.
Right. I miss the cane pole days. Used to fish for we had a little river with tilapia in Hawaii, and you could get away with a cane pole that because you just pretty much bring them straight up. It was just a little stream under the highway kind of thing. But yeah, cane
Yeah,
poles are fun.
yeah.
Come a long way. Cane pole used to cost, I don't remember what it was, like 8, $9, $10. Now you can't even get a spool of decent string for that price. So it's come a long way.
Yeah. My cane pole would cost me the price of talking an adult and letting me borrow his pocket knife to whittle with. And we, people would carpet or linoleum in their houses. Well, when the carpet linoleum came, they always had probably a inch and a quarter bamboo pole shoved through the middle so they could carry it.
Hmm,
They didn't
there
have
you
the
go.
cardboard tubes. Well, that's what I would use for my cane poles. Weren't real flexible though, but it was always nice to get one that was fairly long so you could flip your bait out a little ways in the water.
Right? There's
Now
this
I
one
think I
guy.
fish.
I was gonna say there's this one guy on YouTube. Forgot his name, but he was doing a challenge with carp and a cane pole, and that was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Because those carp, they fight like crazy. Surprised he didn't snap off.
Thanks,
He
Gene.
must have had some super line going. Let's see
Yeah,
what
I haven't
else.
been doing much YouTube. I said my eyes are been acting up, so I have a real hard time reading chat. But I manage. Hopefully, it'll get better. And but I just haven't had the stamina and to get on very long. But I'm getting the hang of it. Every day is a new adventure.
Ain't that the truth?
So, what else do you fish for through the ice? You got trout.
Yeah, mostly trout, but there's ton. You can usually get into a mess of panfish sometimes.
Yeah.
Some perch, some bluegill.
Yeah, I
Every
hear
once in a
people
while,
go pretty nuts over the yellow perch and
sure.
the walleye. Of course, it's always walleye, but
Right. It's all about the fish fry, I guess.
yeah, they do a lot of smallmouth bass in the winter because hey, thank you, Gene. Where our smallmouth bass are, it's on the wildlife refuge where they hang out in the reeds and in the grassy areas, and you can't fish that in the summer
Hmm.
because of the ducks and geese nesting, so they won't let you go in there with a boat and mess around and disturb the nesting ducks and geese and stuff.
Right.
In the winter, you can go out there on the ice, but there's some people that target the smallmouth bass, but most people it's either panfish or walleye. And it seems like until about a half hour before dark till about 1:30 is when they bite.
Hmm.
It takes getting used to if it's cold, being out there
Yeah.
in the dark and set up and watch everything in the dark and I wish they'd bite during daylight a little better.
They'll
Because
bite sometimes in the morning out here in Colorado, but it's hard to get on the walleye. There's not really big populations.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, we've caught some.
last
Go
year we
ahead.
started sending quite a few walleye south. I think the last load we loaded out year before last went to Iowa where they were starting to do stocking programs. But like in Idaho and places like that, the people are really screaming they want the walleye the hell out of there because
Hmm.
they went in and are raising heck with all the trout fisheries because they've been in there eating all the trout.
Yeah, it's funny. Sounds like Colorado. They love their trout out here, but trout's fine and dandy. But for me, it's pretty much just a fish to pass the time until I can get to the fish I like fishing for.
Yeah.
So they're fun.
So like
Especially
they
if you're a fly fisherman, I guess you'd have more fun with trout if you're a fly fisherman, but I'm not, so.
yeah, so like what they did up here, they had a shad program. They stocked a bunch of shad for the walleye. Well, the shad ended up once they get a little bit of size to them, they're too big for the walleye that are in there, and so then the shad started getting to be so many of them and so big, so they stocked a bunch of muskie to knock the numbers down.
Right?
But the only good thing they did was they used tiger muskie, and most of your tiger muskie are all going to be sterile. They won't reproduce.
Right?
And so after 5, 6 years, they'll actually start dying off. If the problem is taken care of, they don't have to restock them again.
Hmm.
But some of these programs, they went in and stocked them and they had no exit program for, okay, when they did their purpose, how do we get them out of there?
You just make it open season, all the fishermen will show up.
Yeah. You know, they took one of our best pan fishing lakes and they determined there was too many bullheads in there, the black bullheads, and so last year on the slide they went and dumped I think 3,000 channel catfish in there to knock the bullhead population down. And it's like, okay, once they do that, what are they going to eat? They're going to go after the crappie and the bluegill
Sure.
and the walleye, and that's what people go to that lake for.
Well, it cracks me up what I mean, it's definitely not isolated to Colorado, but sometimes the decisions made by wildlife, parks and wildlife make you scratch your head because they'll try to put in one fish to take care of another fish and it ends up populating and they'll get another fish to take care of that fish and it just goes on and on. You just can't leave it well enough alone, you know what I mean? Always messing with it.
Yeah, they did that up here. They took and thought it was a great idea, so they stocked sander in a couple lakes.
Hmm.
Well, after it didn't take them very long, they just about cleaned out the lake because
Yep.
they'll get a lot bigger than a walleye, but they're super aggressive. And they went in and just about cleaned out all the smaller fish out of those
Right.
lakes.
That's what happens. They're like, "Oh, we didn't see
And
that coming."
there are a couple people that that go up there to target the big Xanders, and but as far as overall for the entire public, they pretty much ruined the fishing up there.
Hmm.
But at least they stopped with those two lakes.
Okay. They learned their lesson after 2 lakes.
Yeah,
Didn't take them three strikes.
yeah, that's why they got to have exit plans on. If it doesn't work, how do we undo it?
That's and like I said, that's exactly what they do. They'll come out here and they'll be like, "Oh, we need to put some more whatever pike," and then the pikes will start eating up everything, and then the wildlife will be like, "It's open pike season, no limit, come on down," which is fine because there's a lot of pike fishermen love fishing for pike and other predators. I like pike. Like I said, I've only caught a few decent pike. I think a lot of it has to do with just learning what they want different than the other fish, you know? Otherwise, they'll just keep catching the other fish.
I found that the pike and the largemouth bass are very similar. When I was fishing for largemouth bass, I'd catch pike on the same thing,
Hmm,
working it the same way. They hide it close to shore and they come out and nail whatever moves.
nice.
Uh, but we took the pike. We take those what we call hammer handles, and they're the small pike.
Right?
Cut them up about inch and a half long pieces, and put them in a jar and pickle them, and they're actually very good. And all the bones will dissolve from the vinegar and stuff, so you don't
Huh.
have to worry about the bones and stuff. But a lot of people kind of go after that every once in a while during the year just to get a bunch of pickled pike.
Pickle pickerel.
Yeah, And I don't do mine quite as strong as like if you buy pickled herring, it's a little bit too vinegar strong for me. But
Right.
so I cut back on it a little bit and ends up tasting pretty good.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought you was going, you're going to tell me some bait secret. I didn't know you can tell me, your snack. Thought you'd give me some bait secrets here of how to marinate the bait first or something. I was like, I'm about to write all this down.
I've caught pike on crickets and worms and minnows and hot dogs, and they're just not very fussy.
Hmm.
But
They sound like carp, kind of. You can catch carp
yeah,
on almost anything.
with daylight savings time, I found that between 3 and 4 o'clock and 5 and 6 o'clock is when I used to catch my pike close to shore from shore.
Hmm.
And we throw all kinds of crankbaits, spinners, and stuff. If it goes close to them and they see it, they'll come out and nail it.
Predators, that's what they are. Apex predators.
Yeah, they like doing. I always call them the. Oh, what the heck are they? They use for catfish that they have hooks on them, and then throw them out there, the cigar shaped plugs, and then just walk the dog
Oh, I know what you're talking about, right?
and just maybe a foot or so of water along the edge where there's grass.
Hmm.
And man, they'll come out there and just nail them. And blow up is good. Just
Sure.
it'd be real similar to what you'd see from a bass, or just
But
pulling
bigger.
a spinner through there. Uh, So I had a few of those. So instead of buying some, I just took the hooks off and put them on for catfish. But
Right? That seems like the same thing. They went from walking the dog to spooks.
yeah, and then the whopper plopper that always
Right?
worked good running along the shoreline. But most northerns won't go out. They'll kind of hang in that 6 to 8 foot, not much deeper than that.
Hmm.
Uh, I have caught them down 50 feet, but that's not the norm. But if you fish that, say, 10 feet to shore, 12 feet to shore, they're usually somewhere in there. And I find that 6 to 8 feet, they're usually close enough to shore to where they'll come out and nail it.
Hmm. Maybe I should start casting shallower with the bait. The cut bait and the live baits that I've been using might be casting too far,
And pike, I've always caught and had a better luck catching them on bobbers.
right? No,
I'd
you're
put it,
right.
if I'm fishing 5, 6 foot of water, I'd put it down about 3 feet. And you watch that bobber and it would bob, bob, and then it stops. And then the next time it goes, it's going under because they'll grab it and carry it around and mouth it.
Right.
And then when they stop, they're swallowing it head first.
Hmm.
And once they swallow it head first, that's when they take off, and that's when you need to set the hook.
Okay.
If you try setting the hook when it's just bobbing, you don't know if you got your hook towards them or away from them. And if he doesn't got the head, you don't, and you got him hooked through the head, you don't know so you don't know where that hook is. So if you jerk it when they're just bobbing it,
Right.
you sometimes jerk it right out of their mouth.
Right. That's the
And
problem I was having. Like I said, with the because of that chomping and moving. I think I was losing some on no matter what I did with the guard dog, just because the second they felt the tension, it was setting off. So I'd set heavier, and then they'd feel the tension and spit it out. So it's like either way,
mhm.
I couldn't win. Too light, and it misses everything. Too heavy, and they feel it and spit it out. So it's almost like you want to either give it some slack or just go with a bait runner and let them do their thing, or bobber, like you said, so you can actually see what's going on.
Yeah, I did that with Northerns, but I didn't have a guard dog then. But I've been going to try this too. Is to take and put the guard dog on, and instead of tightening my line, putting slack till my line goes straight down and touches the water. That gives them enough to do a little
Hopefully,
bit of running.
right?
Most of the time, they don't run, oh, I'd say maybe 10, 15 feet. They don't run a long ways on that first run. It's after they feel the resistance, that's when they
That's
start
when they go
going
nuts.
sideways.
Yep.
Sideways till they hit you and straight away when they see you.
Right. Second you bring them in within netting distance, that's when they freak out again.
Yeah, yeah,
They're no dummies. They know
the
what's
big
coming
ones
next.
come in like a log, and when they get close to the boat or see that net put in the water, all of a sudden the game's on.
Hmm.
That's when I like watching a person that hadn't caught very many. When that game is on, when they get close like that, it's a riot to watch them. Their eyes get big when that thing explodes, and they usually get to see them first. And then all of a sudden that water explodes, and then they usually lose them.
I've lost a few because I thought they were done, and they still had at least one more fight in them.
Yeah, when they start turning their belly up, then if they're just swimming slow and they're still right side up, they're not done. But
If they're not in the net, they're not done yet.
yeah, a great net man like you can
Oh, jeez.
probably be able to scoop them up at that point. Thank you, Dink, for putting that out. But yeah, it's been a pretty good day for me. Um, thinking fishing all the time, thinking of new things to try. I've been buttering up the wife. I've got this urge to buy a little ice house, but I
Hmm.
think if I even go look at them, I might get frying pan over my head.
Yeah.
First thing she'll say is, "Where are you going to keep it?" Of course, I could try to BS her and tell her on the ice, but that probably won't go over so well either. But I've been thinking about it. I truly don't know where I'd keep it. Boy, I tell you, they've went up so much in price. The little ones, like what I'm looking for, they were $3,000-4,000 for nice
Jeez.
ones. Now they're $8,000-10,000 for the same ones.
Yikes.
I just can't quite bear myself to do that.
I try to be good and stop buying fishing crap, but
Yeah.
it's kind of
Plus,
hard.
my kids ain't nice to me between now and Christmas. They might be the ones that foot the bill. I just cut them off at Christmas time, and
Give them a coal in their stocking, huh?
yeah, well, what I give them, it wouldn't amount to much of it, much more than maybe a down payment, or not a down payment, a monthly payment. But it would be fun.
That's what grandkids are for, and kids are for to mess with, right? That's why. That's why you have them. That's why I have them.
Yeah.
Someone to mess with.
Hey, Avid, you're back again. So you go and learn how to read sign language? uh, I
I
don't know.
try to
What
do
did
sign
you say?
language.
I think he said did he say he was out fishing or something? He was going to be on late tonight,
Who's
but
that?
something like that. Avid.
Oh,
I have to go back and look at it. I'd have had to lean forward to focus on what time he said he was going to be on. But you all can go over and pick up Avid. And like I said, I think it's time that, if people want to give their stickers away or promote their products by doing that or give away their products, come on in. I'll run it for you and, you know, get out, might find somebody that you don't normally see your stuff. And we're here for all of us. Just to get out and help people and spread the good word. I know I'm always excited when I find something new and like to share it. And I get a kick out of, and I do this myself sometimes too. I buy something that's a little on the pricey side, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to, don't want to go in and say, this was a waste of my money.
Oh, I'm no stranger to wasting money. I'm just glad I have money to waste. We were kids, we didn't have any money to waste, so it's a little bit different now as adults.
And so, you know, you can see it in some people. They go out and, oh, this greatest thing since cornflakes and everything. And as time passes, you can see, well, it wasn't quite what they thought it was going to be. I, but I'm excited for getting back out there and fishing. And below the dam, when it stays open most of the year round.
Well, that's nice.
Sometimes the ice forms around the edge. You can't fish from shore or get a boat in. But last year it was pretty good. They kept lowering and raising it so much that the ice never got a chance to form on the edges very much.
Right.
And it's a pretty good little honey hole. So I'm learning different ways to stay warm.
We got all the gear for that. We just, even with all the gear, I'm just not looking forward to freezing my buns off like we did last year. But yeah, we got
Yeah,
shelters and parkas and heaters and even got me an electric auger and we got, sonar flashers. We got all the good toys, but getting it to the good spot, you got to haul it out in a sled. And once again, I think I'm getting too old to be dragging stuff, a couple hundred yards to get to the good spot below freezing weather through a couple feet of snow.
yeah. It's a lot of work, and that's what kept me off the ice for the last couple of years.
But it's fun.
I'm, I'm not going to go out in late afternoon and spend 2 hours setting up the fish and fish for 3 hours, and then spend another hour and a half to tear everything down to come home late at night.
Right? And the drive back,
And,
because like I said, to get to the good ice here in Colorado, it's like a 2.5 hour drive each way for me.
yeah,
So that's 5 hours of driving just to catch sometimes fish the size of some of the local spots.
yeah, it changes as it gets harder. It was hell when I was a kid. That was no big deal to. We never had an ice auger growing up. We used
No hatchet.
well, we used to make our own. We'd use leaf springs and weld the handle and sharpen them.
Huh.
And so we'd chop our own holes. And I could chop a 10-inch square hole in a pretty short period of time. But
Sweet.
now I'd be thankful not to have to chop more than one in a day.
Right? You better choose well.
Yeah, you hit it just right, and it pops in big chunks, and you just keep because we'd bevel it, and so when you hit it, it actually make the ice just kind of shatter,
Hmm.
and it didn't take long, but
So it wouldn't be so
we,
bad if you're only going through like 6 inches, but Anything more than that, I tell you what, the ice now, especially late season in Colorado, it's not uncommon to get 36 inches. It's gonna take you a while to chop through that. You got to have an auger,
Yeah, it even gets tough with an auger. But
right? When you start using auger extensions, you know it's thick ice,
yeah,
super thick.
yeah. I sold my gas auger last year. It just got too heavy for me to handle. And so if I
That
get
can be a
another
pain
one,
too.
yeah, if I
Sometimes on
get
the ice,
another
they don't
one,
want to
I'll go
start.
to electric.
Yep, like I said, we got us an electric one now, and as long as you keep the battery like when you're not using it, like all batteries on the ice, you want to keep it like in your jacket pocket, keep it warm, and then pop it on when you want to use it.
Hmm.
We can get over 20 holes out of it, and that's, even with, I think it's what is it, a 10-inch auger, and it'll do, you know, depending, especially early ice, you'll get 25 holes easy before that thing runs out. So,
Yeah.
and it's so much lighter too, being battery operated, right, versus all the gas stuff.
Hey, welcome back, Maurice. Yeah, it's I went with my brother-in-law year before last, and he's got Parkinson's, and so I was trying to drill all the holes. But by the end of the day, I was done drilling holes. He'd have me drill 5, 6 holes, and then he'd stick his flasher down there and look, and well,
See
try it
nothing.
over here, try it over there. I bet you I'd drilled 30 holes before we put the first line down. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm done drilling holes.
I tell you
And
what, I have a friend that has some pretty good honey holes on the ice, but that's because during the regular season, he'll take his boat out there and he'll use his sonar to find all the little good structures and places like that, and then save it on GPS, and then change it over to a battery operated one and just head out there to the same coordinates. Be kind of close,
yeah, see, I take my depth finder off my boat and I get an ice transducer for it,
right? Float it.
and then just a power cord, and I hook it to the little batteries, and it'll
Sure.
run it all day long.
Right.
Well, I can plug it in the cigarette lighter truck, so when I'm driving out there, I use my charts to find my
Your
waypoints.
spots. Yep. That's the way to do it.
And saves a lot of time and guesswork.
Yeah, I don't have a boat, so it's a little bit different. What's going on, Jay? Thanks for joining us, brother. We just chilling off the script. Don and I are just running off the script. There's no script. We're scriptless today.
Yeah, we're just winging it. We just had to be here for you.
Just co-chilling. Don't even have a beer. Just chilling without a beer.
And we ain't got much knowledge either because nobody ever asks us any questions. They might, well, they might be right on that. I might be dumb as a rock.
You crazy.
Yeah,
I know a couple things. Any more than that, though, and I'd be dangerous.
yeah. I just know not to overthink things too much.
Yeah, keep it
I'll do that.
simple.
I'll get ready to go fishing and I'll get so pumped up and I'll start overthinking, second guessing myself and go out and get skunked. And I'll get back home and it's like, why didn't I just do it the way I always did? And never got skunked that way.
Right.
But
Looks like Jay picked up a new rod from Eagle Claw. Have you tried it yet, Jay? You digging it? I've seen some decent stuff from Eagle Claw. I mean, for the money, it ain't bad.
I
Right.
started out with an Eagle Claw back in the late 60s. And boy, I carried that thing around with me in the Navy for years and years.
Hmm.
Just really liked that pole.
I've been trying different things, different brands, just to try them. For a while there, all I did was the ugly stick, and it's funny because you think the ugly stick is like, and it is for the most part, a pretty versatile rod. You can use it for a lot of fish. But when you start getting into some of the bigger fish, you need a little bit more backbone sometimes than the ugly stick has, unless you get the ugly stick catfish rods. That's a pretty good rod. If you've ever seen that on Amazon, it's white. It's the ugly stick catfish rod. That's a pretty good rod.
Mm.
There's some decent backbone on that. Plus, it'll still flex pretty well like legendary ugly sticks do.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about some of my poles. All of a sudden, it's just you get one that you just like. No specific reason. It's not your most expensive. It's not your highest tech, but it's just your one of your go-to poles.
Right? But it took you probably, at least if you're like me, it took you 20 rods to find that pole, and I got 20 rods behind me.
Yeah,
I just got to one day just pick them all up in a bundle and take them out, and just every kid I see that's running around with a little crapco, hook them up with something, right?
yeah. That's just a reason to go out and buy more. I
That's
do
true.
that every spring with my grandkids.
Once you take up clear up the space in the corner, you need to put something in there.
Mm. Yeah, my favorite spinning rod last year, my wife smashed it. She opened up the garage door and it fell down, and then she closed the garage door on top of it and just smashed it right in the middle.
Yikes.
I don't know why that pole, it seemed like every time I picked it up and used it, I'd catch fish.
Hmm. It's your lucky,
And
yeah, it's your lucky combo, man. Once you
yeah,
get on one.
and then I bought a St. Croix and was heading out to the truck to go fishing, and the wind slammed the door shut and knocked about 6 inches off the end of the rod, and I hadn't even put line on it yet.
Yikes.
And it's like, well, that's not a very profitable thing to do.
Right? I just picked up this fairly cheap, but it's a telescopic rod off Amazon just because I wanted
You
something to
know,
throw in a backpack. So I still need to catch a fish with that, see how good it is.
I must have gave them away. I had some that did telescope out about 2 feet, but they would push down into the handle. So they were easy to transport because they were 2 foot shorter, but then you could pull them out and you'd have that extra length. And I'm just thinking about it. I don't know whatever happened to them.
Yeah, mine, the one I got, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it fits in my tackle bag, but it opens up to over 7 feet, so you can get a decent casting rod out of a little collapsible. But and it seems like it flexes pretty nice. We'll find out on the first decent fish, of course. That's when all the bargain prices don't seem like bargains no more. If the rod sucks,
Yeah,
snap it like a
Jay,
toothpick.
you should do like some guys do. I should do it to my wife now. Just compare buying fishing rods with her buying shoes.
Right?
She say, "Why you need another one?" And you say, "Why do you need another pair of shoes?" And,
You only
well, to
got
go
two
with
feet,
this
right?
outfit, and that's why I need another pole to go with this reel.
Right? It's all about the mixing and the matching. We're buying rods to match with reels, and they're off there buying shoes to match with purses. What can you do?
Yeah, yeah. Except my poles usually last longer than her purses and shoes do.
Yeah, that's what Goodwill's good for.
Yeah,
Don't like it? Give it to somebody else.
yeah. It's been a good run this year, and I'm starting to feel better because I'm starting to get the urge to start cooking again. So
Cooking or hooking?
cooking, I like cooking too.
Nice.
With the weather getting cooler, it's that time of year to start making some sausage and stuff like that. And one of my next projects is I'm going to make up a bunch of stuffed calamari and
Hmm.
sort them out and put them in the freezer. So when I want a quick meal, all I have to do is take them out and warm them up. And with just me and the wife, we don't doesn't pay to make very much. So we try to do it in such a way we just put it in the freezer and make small meals out of it. And I like to have sandwiches. I'm going to make up a ham loaf that I can cut up for lunch meat. And I've never tried it, but one of my herb projects coming up is I'm going to make some boudin.
So
Uh,
what?
boudin?
Don't even know what
Boudin?
that is, Don.
It's a southern type sausage
Hmm.
mixture. I've heard a lot about it. I've never been any place that has sold it, so I figured the only way I'm going to get a chance to try it is to make it. So
Hmm.
I'm going to try it. Looks pretty interesting.
I'm not much of a cook. I like to, although I do make a mean reservation.
Yeah.
That's about it. I'm
Well,
a good eater, though.
my beef is supposed to go to slaughter this week, so it'll hang for 21 days.
Hmm.
Yeah, Maurice, I like Cajun sausage. I like spicy stuff. My wife hates it.
More for you.
More for me. But yeah, the boudin is pretty interesting. The history on it, and it's a sausage, but it usually has rice in. I've heard of people putting potato in it, but it's usually pork. But people use crayfish. For every cook out there, there's a different recipe, and but it looks like it's fairly easy to do. So I bought a couple pork shoulder roasts today, and so when I feel a little bit better and feel up to it, this way I can put them on and you cook them for 2.5, 3 hours, and I can put them on while the wife's gone, and then when she comes home, I can say, "But honey, I've been cooking all day."
I've been slaving over that stove.
Yeah, yeah, Kelly, food and blood sausage.
Boudin. Yeah, I never heard of boudin. Ain't heard a lot of
But
things, though, so.
to me, it looked like it'd be good. But I guess they eat it on crackers. They eat it as sausage. They put it in balls and flour it and put some panko on it and deep fry it. Uh, I even seen where some of them will make like a hamburger out of it and just fry it. And so
Hmm.
I like stuff that got a lot of variations to it.
What about, you like to, cook what you catch? You got any
Yeah, I pretty
special?
much eat everything I catch. Uh, and that's pretty much the waters we got to fish in. Everything is so clear and cold that the gold eyes are the only thing I haven't found a way to cook them yet that I like them. I
Hmm.
tried smoking them, I tried cooking them, and just a little too oily for me. They're pretty similar to like a whitefish, but I like a whitefish a little bit better smoked than a gold eye. So the gold eyes go in for bait.
Hmm. I was gonna say, pretty much anything tastes good if you fried it up, right?
Yeah, I like it fried, deep fried. I like a lot of it baked, smoked. Uh, I like to get about a 4 or 5 pound catfish and flay it out. Use salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and butter, and flay it out. Leave the skin on, and then put it in the smoker for about 2.5 hours. And it's enough to render the fat down, and and just tastes pretty good to me. But in baking it, I got a few different big. Not real wild about salmon, but I think when I was up in Alaska for 4 years, we ate so much salmon
Hmm.
in so many different ways that it just doesn't have an appeal to me. But the steelhead I like a little bit better than the salmon.
Every time I think of cooking up catfish, I always think of like a stew or something.
I do that too. I'd nugget it up, and every once in a while I'll make a fish stew.
Yeah, that's what I think of. Throw it over some rice.
Yeah, I see that, Kelly. You catch quite a few of them. Yeah, I take it, make it like a stew. I also do like a fish chowder
Hmm.
and make it like uh, a chowder base and put other seafood in with it, maybe some shrimp or stuff, and make like a seafood chowder.
Or gumbo, huh? Make a gumbo.
Yeah, so there's so many different ways that you can cook catfish. Uh, well, you can almost any fish, but
We're making Jay hungry. We're making everybody hungry probably. It's right around that time too.
yeah, I have to go visit Kelly and stock up on my. I had quite a few catfish in the fridge. Well, not quite a few, but enough. And then my freezer broke while we were gone, and I lost everything in my freezer.
Hmm.
I think I ended up hauling out over 300 pounds of prime beef to the dump that
Hmm.
had thawed out. And I tried, most of it was barely refrigerator cold, so I tried to cook as much of it as I could. But after about 24 hours of cooking, I just ran out of poop and couldn't get it all done. But I was going to bone out all the steaks and make sausage, and that's a lot of work for one person.
It's a lot of work for two persons.
Yeah, it was a shame to throw all those inch and a quarter T-bones and porterhouses and
Hmm.
stuff out the
I'm definitely getting hungry now.
door. So I've been on a dry spell for my beef until this next one gets butchered. I thought, well, next time I'm not going to save it so long. I'm going to eat it all
Eat
right
it,
away.
right? What are you saving it for, right? Probably
Yeah.
better fresh anyhow. Hey Jay, so it looks like you're gonna go for some cats. You know what I've been trying to do is we have a lake out here that we've ice fished, um, St. Vrain, and there's supposed to be some good cats out there. So want to hit some catfish up at St. Vrain, Jay. If you want to have some fun with that, we can do that sometime because there's supposed to be pike and catfish in that one lake in the back on the north side at St. Vrain. So definitely though, definitely trying to get some big fish, not just these little stocker trouts.
Well, I apologize not getting this shared out very good tonight, but I was having a hard time when I was going to share it out on Facebook. I couldn't find my password to go in and share it out. And it had been a while. Hey, Dom.
The
Yeah,
Dominator,
yeah, he always says he's been listening when he comes in late.
right? He just throws that out there. What you cooking, Maurice? Share it with the rest of us since we're talking food anyhow.
Yeah, I could eat fish 2, 3 times a week.
I could eat fish that often, but it would have to be like one day I do fried, the next day maybe sushi. I could do a stew. I'd have to change it up though. I'm not a real
Yes.
big seafood either, which is surprising because I grew up in Hawaii, but just never really got into a whole bunch of seafood.
Oh, I missed the seafood from when I was in the Navy. I just up here in North Dakota, you can imagine we don't get fresh seafood know how.
Hmm.
And we have a seafood truck come up from Louisiana and down in that area, but they start north of us, and by the time they get to us, they're already out of most of the stuff
They're
that I
cleaned
want.
out, huh? Damn, looking out now. Everyone's getting hungry. Ugh. Dominator, what you doing today, man? How come you not jumping on so we can see your smiley face? Anybody do some fishing today? This is my lazy day. Sundays are my lazy days. I got to get ready for work, so try not to do anything too complicated.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Costco and help the wife today, but I just didn't have the energy to do it. But a few weeks ago, she fell down and fractured her wrist, so she hadn't been
Yikes.
able to drive. So I told her, "How bad you want to go?"
Right? Can't you get that stuff delivered now?
Yeah, well, Costco doesn't, but she did a couple times from Walmart.
Right?
First,
That's
we
the way
got a
to do it.
Walmart north of town and south of town, and she does her order, sends me down to pick it up. I get down there and they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. To find out she ordered it from the other Walmart at the other end of town where I was before I drove all the way to the north end to pick up the Walmart stuff. So
That's funny.
it didn't get picked up that day. I ran out of poop. I said,
Just
it'll
like
have
it.
to wait till tomorrow.
Yep.
There you go,
What do you got here?
Maurice. Cajun sausage, cabbage. Yeah, it's that time of year for that cabbage stuff.
Wonder what kind of winter we're gonna have this year. Did they do
Really
that?
dumb. Did Tanya help you?
52 pounder. Dang.
I think it was one of the first times I watched Tanya ended up catching all the big fish that night, or the big fish. It's been a long time ago. But so I like to give him a hard time all the time, but he should listen to her more often.
Have you seen or heard anything about what kind of winter we're supposed to have this year?
I
Did they
was
get a
looking at
forecast going?
at a forecast, and you guys up here, it divides down by you guys, but up here they're saying less snow and warmer temperatures,
Hmm.
and then south they're looking at colder temperatures and a lot more moisture than normal. So,
Hmm.
because but they said it should be more stable because the stream shouldn't be fluctuating as much this year because of the El Nino or whatever it is. That it should be more stable instead of drastic cold, then warm, then drastic cold.
Hmm. It's
But
all
we'll
that.
see.
It's all that mystical global warming they keep telling us about, I guess.
Yeah, well, the whole place froze all down one time. It wasn't our fault then. So it, things happen that we ain't got any control over.
Heck no. We're just passengers on
Yeah.
this bus of life.
Hey, Dom, she's the one that you offered to give her to me, and then when I accepted it and said I'd take her, you changed your mind. You said you had to have her. I'm old, but I still got a little bit of memory left in me. I think that was just before a cat con or something that he was going to give her away. He didn't think anybody would take her.
Well done. I think I'm going to jump off.
Yeah, I think it's about that time. I'm running out of poop, having a harder time talking, running out of juice.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'd
it's
like
good
to
catching
thank
up with everybody.
I'd like to thank everybody that came in. Thank you, Randy, for helping me out. Ernest.
All good.
Yeah, yeah, one of these days he might have to look out. Somebody might just scoop her up and whoosh her away. But yeah, it's a good night, and we'll see everybody next week. And you never know what might be happening.
This is
See if we
true.
can get some guests up here like Cindy and Travis, or tell them all their wise things, enlighten us.
Right on, brothers.
All right. Well, you all have a good night, and you all take care. God bless you, and thank you for coming in and spending time with us.
Take care, y'all.
Yep. Bye.